what's up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here, and I'm hanging out with the amazing Jim D'Addario of D'Addario Strings. We're here at the factory. Jim, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you in person.
Thank you so much for having me here. So we're going to check out how a string is made from the very beginning all the way to the end process where it goes into the package. And I'm really excited because I don't know much about this, and I think other people will be interested to see. It's quite a process, right?
Oh yeah, it's involved, and I think we do probably more of the process ourselves than most people.
Yeah.
Including making the wire, so you'll get to see a lot of cool, interesting things.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that, and also hear some stories about the history of the company. And I know you've had some amazing adventures.
Yes.
In your life, so hopefully we can hear some cool things about that as well. Well, I'm ready. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's rock.
Let's go. So we're at the start process?
Yes.
What do we have here, all this?
This is high carbon steel, which is the wire that's used for your plain strings and your core. All our cores are drawn into a hexagonal shape to hold the wrap wire better. We make all our own high carbon steel here from material that's much oversized, right? And this material is the same material that you would find in a steel belted radial tire. Okay?
Oh, wow.
It's a super precise alloy so that it holds pitch and it doesn't stretch and break. So you have to start with a larger diameter, and then we draw it down in the drawing machines in multiple steps, as many as 20 different dies. So what's happening is the wire is carefully paid off by this stand here, and this is the really thick input wire. And this is 53.
Oh yeah, it feels like a flat wound jazz string kind of.
Yeah, well, it's like the second string on an electric bass.
Yeah.
So this wire is going into this machine, and this is the draw box. This is where the drawing dies are. So it goes into a metal die. We use carbide dies and diamond dies in different positions. This is a standard wire drawing die, and the wire goes in here where you got that little conical shape, comes out the other side just a little bit smaller.
So it's getting pressurized.
It's getting pulled through and kind of extruded, right? It's getting stretched and made smaller at the same time. So it gets longer and smaller, right? We're so proud of this operation because you can't make great strings without consistent and great wire.
Consistency is like the most important part.
We are totally obsessed with consistency.
So every set of strings is gonna be perfect.
The most important word to describe the quality of a string is symmetry, right? If it's not concentric, it's not round, or it's varying in diameter, or it's oval shape, or whatever, you're gonna have a lot of problems, a lot of issues. So we change these dies out before they're even close to being worn out. Whereas vendors that you buy wire from sometimes, they'll push it to the limit. They'll go a little further. The die starts wearing out, the wire gets bigger.
Yeah.
Or it starts to get less round, right?
Yeah.
So we take them out and we have them re-machined and we use them for a bigger size later. Well, we take them out very early. We watch the wire very, very closely. We watch what's coming out of the machines. So we know we're making the most consistent wire. And I can't tell you who, but a lot of our competitors are buying wire from us. So, because we make a better product and it's short supply. So
yeah.
When do you change the dies, Bart?
Usually after a set foot count, so about
a set amount of feet.
feet.
Yeah. Yeah. So we keep that tolerance very close.
Wow.
What we're doing here is, and we developed this for ourselves. We put the wire in there. We've written this program that indexes this thing around so that it measures the hex shape at every position, and then plots it in. Every time it hits a corner, it's got to fall within these red lines. That's the tolerances for perfect wire. We actually get these very tight measurements. I mean, here, look, you're talking about hundreds of thousandths of an inch here.
Is this from one spool?
Yeah, and we do this for every spool.
For every spool, you take a piece off.
We take a piece off, and as soon as that shape is questionable or falling out of the range, we change the die.
Okay.
So we don't make bad wire. It's just we make consistent wire all the time.
Wow, that is cool.
This is a straightening roller array. This is what's in a straightening machine. The wire, and it's torsion straightening, so it does it in one plane and then the other plane, the wire's fed through, and it's pushing that wire in and out, and kind of just getting it to relax so that it straightens. We're taking that wire that's curled, and we're feeding it and taking it up here, and it's going through all of those rollers. And if you just turn that knob a little bit, you screw it up. It's really hard to do.
Do you dream of strings in your dreams?
Yeah,
You do, right?
almost every night. When this wire is straight and ready to go, then we have to put the tin coating on it. So here we're actually doing a tin coating. It's a hot dip coating. We have to etch the wire with a flux, just as like you were soldering. And that kind of prepares and cleans the wire. And then it goes into a hot tin bath. So this is 600 degrees.
This was fully blazing.
Put your finger in there and it'll disappear.
No, thank you.
That's really hot. The wire goes through, these devices push the wire down, comes out, and then it goes outside there and gets spooled.
Wow.
This is the last drawing machine we just received about 2 years ago, and this makes nickel-plated steel, which is the most popular electric guitar string wire. So this particular line, we had to make a different way of annealing the wire because you can't use the inductive annealer that we use on phosphor bronze. This machine uses a plasma field. This is really like, I call it the flux capacitor.
Yeah.
The wire's coming in here after drawing. Very similar drawing machine, same manufacturers, same thing. We're using a lot of dies and we're drawing it down slowly, and we're making an 021 wire that's probably used for bass guitar. That wire, after it's coming out of there, we put it through a plasma field annealer. It anneals it in this space right here, right? Yeah, you can see the wire glowing in there.
Oh, it's so cool.
So the wire's glowing. Now we have to let it cool down. That's what's going on here. When that spool fills up, this line slows down a little and the computer changes the plasma so that it actually matches the speed and doesn't change the temper. And it'll start and move it right over to that spool and do it again. Thread the spool automatically, you just take it out.
Did you ever have a time growing up, since this is started by your grandfather, did you ever like have a time where you rebelled against wanting to work here, or was this always your life?
I've been the product development product tester since I was 13. So, and you know, every dinner all we did was talk about.
And did you play guitar from a young age?
Yeah, I started at around 11 when the Beatles came around.
Yeah, of course.
When the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, of course. So I take it you had the Beatles cut.
Oh
haircut?
Yeah. Yeah. So the factory for making guitar strings or fretted instrument strings is all in this area here, in another room in the back. They're all like set up into work cells where we make specific products on each line almost every day. I mean, there's probably a line that makes XL110s every day and occasionally makes something else, right? The work cell approach is a Toyota lean thing that we learned about 10 years ago when we got all trained on Toyota lean manufacturing processes, and we literally changed the whole factory. We used to have all the winding machines in one big area. We used to make millions of strings and store them and have millions of dollars tied up in inventory and then grab them to package them. Now we only make what we need to package for the day. They package pretty much manually still because the strings are delicate. The winding and the ball end making is all in the work cell. Start by looking at how the high carbon steel hex core and the high carbon steel plain strings get ball ends twisted on them. So here we're taking the high carbon steel hex core, we're feeding these little ball ends, right? We're twisting it in a way where we don't have that little funny lock twist that we put on a plain steel string, because we're going to wind over that, and that's going to lock it, and it makes for a cosmetically better appearance, and also not a bump here when you might interfere with you in your bridge pins or whatever, and, or come up over the saddle. Symmetry is the key here. So anyway, this is the process, and we're doing the same thing. We're filling up combine tubes. Then those tubes make their way over to the winding machine. These are all typical winding machines that we've designed and built. Our machines are very productive. The operator simply has to put the core on. The machine threads the wire, it breaks it off, and then it winds it. So you can see all these little pieces of wire in here. That's because we break it off.
Okay.
And then the wire is perfectly, there's no wire sticking out. We pay the wire off in such a way that this multiple pulley system neutralizes any change in tension coming off the spool, because as the spool in diameter changes, when the wire is used up, if there's any drag on this spool, that would make more tension. So we neutralize all of that, and then we reapply the tension right on the winding carriage with a hysteresis brake that's got a precise feedback loop. We're measuring it with a load cell. It's constantly adjusting and hitting the target tension for that diameter string. Every string is absolutely right on the money. The other thing is the angle of the wire is being fed. If you're winding a string by hand and I'm lagging, I'm putting pressure one wire against the other, and or if I'm leading, I might make slightly open strings. I came up with a system in 1979 where we follow the wire, feed back to a servo, and adjust that angle so that it's always perfect. So those two key variables, we control them 100%. So then these wound strings and plain strings, they make their way over to the packaging line where we still coil them by hand. We coil two together. It's better to coil them by hand because you don't damage them. We do them two at a time. We put like the A and the E together or whatever, and then these three pairs make their way down to the bagging machine. So she's taking the 6 strings that were just coiled, putting it in the corrosion protection bag. That comes down, and then these go into the boxes or whatever. So these are the sets coming off, and the lines are making all different sets. We're going to show you how we prepare strings for factories. We sell strings to, can't mention names, but all over. You know, most of it goes to Asia, but also a lot of the big American builders buy product from us as well. So in here we're making all our bass strings, which aren't coiled on the same way. And this is a bass string line here, bass guitar. One person can run 7 or 8 machines because they just have to put the core on, and then one winding after the other, first winding, second winding, third winding, gets threaded automatically. This is a big one. This is an 130, it's a low V. She just has to put the core on it and start it. And then that feeds the wire, and it'll do one winding, second winding, third winding, while she's doing something else. It makes it so that we can be very, very competitive on these OEM strings. We're taking wound strings and packaging them to go to factories. And they go in bigger boxes, and then they get sent all over the place. 30% of the strings we make go on guitars.
Yeah,
30%.
that's what I was about to ask.
Yeah.
How much?
Yeah, 30% of the quantity
30% of what you're making here is going off to other guitars.
Yeah.
For them to put them on the
guitars,
in the guitar factory.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, my mind is blown. That was an amazing experience. Personally, I never knew how much was involved in making a string, and I know the audience out there probably didn't know either. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I just want to thank you, Jim, for everything you've done for guitarists and your family. The heritage of it all is just awe-inspiring, and also thank you for your time today. That was really special for me, so thank you again.
Most welcome, and thanks for using our products and telling people about them.
Love it.
We're proud of that.
All right.
Thank
you again.
Yeah, anytime.
All right, you guys, go get some D'Addario.
Ciao.